to be politically oriented? Do you want a platform where you get updated with socio-political issues? Then Vigilance is the right place for you. Join Folashade Adebi every Fridays 4 p.m. WAT to discuss socio-political issues in society. Governor Bello Matawalle of Zamfara State recently switched alliances from PDP to APC. This adds to the growing list of Nigerian politicians that switch sides constantly, almost comically, bordering on hilarity like politics is a sport. Political decampment is a reoccurring theme in Nigerian politics that begs the question: is the constant side switching in the interest of the constituents, the political parties, or self? I am Folashade Adebi. Welcome to Vigilance. Welcome back to the show, listeners. And with me is Ladipo Olashiwere, a legal practitioner with keen interest in sports and entertainment law, real estate, corporate commercial, debt recovery, human rights, and probate. Thank you, Ladipo, for being with me on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And my next guest is Ibukunoluwa Adebara, a legal practitioner that specializes in dispute resolution, real estate, conveyancing, property law, intellectual property law, as well as energy and mining law. Thank you, Ibukun, for being with me on today's episode.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. So, in today's episode, we are discussing the topic political decampment. Over the past few weeks, I read this article titled "Political Party Defections by Elected Officers in Nigeria: Nuisance or Catalyst for Democratic Reforms," written by Omolade Adeyemi Oyinde and Inombong Apambong. They are actually PhD holders. So, in this article, the first record of political decampment started before Nigeria gained our independence in 1960. So the three major political parties there is that we have the NCNC, which was led by Dr. Nnamdi Azikwe. Then we have the NPC, led by Sir Ahmadu Bello. Then we have the AG by Chief Obafemi Awolowo. But at the end of this election, none of this political party won. So that led to an alliance between the NCNC and the NPC to form a national government. Now, my question to you, Ibukoluwa, is that, in your opinion, do you think political decampments are due to personal interest, national interest, or political interest?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. And at the end of the day, when we speak about politics in any political space or any political jurisdiction, what we should be looking at is how the government, through politics, is catering for the welfare of the citizens.
Okay.
So when a party is, or when persons within parties are decamping or caught carpeting, as the Hollywood tend to call it, it's usually supposed to be based on the party's philosophy that is no longer in line with the national interest or with the welfare of the people in the view of the person with the campaign. So ordinarily should be for pure political interest in respect of the government's role in providing for the welfare of the people. Well, that's my opinion, and I'm sure many people would have very diverse opinion on this point, but that is my opinion. That it should be in respect of political interest. But then we see so many other things happening today. Thank you very much once again.
Okay. Ladipo, over to you.
I think I would agree with Ibuku on this. In a lot of the defections you've seen, even in recent times and over the past several years, have mostly been personal, I would say. For myself, I'll say they've mostly been personal because if you look deep behind the reasons why these governors or House of Rep members or whoever are defected, you would realize that it's not really in the interest of their politics per se. It's more so bothers on, because this party is the ruling party right now and I need to help the people in my state, blah, blah, blah. Quote and unquote, that's what they say. But in terms of what is actually happening, most of these defections, I think, are personal, which, makes a whole mess of the entire political system.
Okay, so that brings me back to my next question. You said it's more of personal interest. So in the United States, we see political ideologies are followed to the latter. Like each political parties have their own ideology. But here in Nigeria, there's this frequent political decampment. So why do you think this is so? Like, is there more to this? Is it more like the founding fathers are not strict with their laid down rules?
I think this is a very interesting question. Anyways, I think there are several reasons why we've seen so many defections and our politics is the way it is. For one, I would always say it's so hard to support a political party in Nigeria for someone who wants to be, who is quite educated on politics and whatnot and wants to support a party or a government that they can have behind their back. It's difficult because if you look at all the parties, I don't think there's any party that has come out to say this is our ideology, this is what we stand for. These are our policies in terms of transportation. These are our policies in terms of taxes, in terms of governance, blah, blah, blah. You don't hear that. When people come, they tell us, we're going to fix this road from this place to this place. That's not what we want to hear. What do you believe in as a group of people, as a party, as a whatever you may call it? What do you guys believe in that you're trying to push as a change in society? We don't get a lot of that, So I feel one of the major reasons is because of the lack of party ideologies. If you look over in other governments like the US government, if you see a Republican, you can tell the things he stands for or she stands for.
Yes.
If you see a Democrat, you can tell the things they stand for as well. So there needs to be that focus, that goal, that vision that this is what our party believes in and this is what we're trying to achieve. But a lot of parties, I think most, if not all the political parties in Nigeria lack political ideologies.
Okay, thank you. Ladipo, what's your take on this?
Yes.
Well, Ladipo just spoke, so
sorry.
You'll be referring to me. I think I agree with what Ladipo has just said because so far, the rise of political ideologies in Nigeria over so many very critical persons that are supposed to be important to a particular political party just cross carpets to another political party. I know one major example over time has been Atiku Abubakar, who was one of the founding members of PDP sometime in 2000 and even ran and won election with President Obasanjo back then. And then over time, he moved over to the ACN and then he went back to the PDP. And then now he's present with APC. That's if he hasn't gone back to PDP. I'm not very certain where.
I don't think he is actually in a political party for now.
Well, you see, that's
yeah, he's not.
Yes, the issue so far has been that there are no clear ideologies as to what each political party stands for. And even if these political parties come out at the very beginning or at their very establishment to say, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do, this is what we are going to stand for as a party. The fact that they have continually allowed people to just move across parties has completely faded that line of ideology. So far we do not know any difference between what APC stands for and what PDP stands for. We have no idea as to what these two political parties would preach to its members. So they're expressing all the lines of philosophies and ideologies with respect to these parties. It's interesting that you mentioned the United States of America because just like Radical had mentioned earlier, we know what the Democrats they stand for, we know what the Republicans stand for. In the United Kingdom as well, we know what the Conservatives stand for, we know what the Liberals stand for. And if you are moving from one party to another, it's because there has been a change in ideologies or you believe that your standing at that point in time is not more in line with what that political party stands for. And so that's why but now in Nigeria we have the case because this is the part that is going to during your election, this is the party that can stand the first party. So this of ideology is the big problem, just like what I think it's something that should be addressed if political space in Nigeria is going to be developed.
Well, I'm going to ask another question based on the political ideology. So you guys are like like the parties, like Nigerian political parties don't have clear ideologies. But PDP, now my question is, PDP has APC, has this political ideology. Their own political ideology is big tent economic nationalism. And PDP political ideology is national social and economic liberation. You understand? So do you think over the course of the years that these political parties have been able to achieve those ideologies?
Sorry.
No, if you can go ahead.
Go on. No. Okay, I will start. Like I had mentioned earlier, the level of cross-carpeting has totally faded or blurred the lines of the ideologies that these political parties are supposed to have. You mentioned that the ideology for PDP is the National Social and Economic Liberation.
Yes.
And I think I've even heard of that before. But then, when was the last time that a member of the House of Representatives or the Senate was about to contest the election, or rather candidate to a seat in the Senate or the House of Representatives was about to contest elections, or governors, or even the president was about to contest elections, and they came out with proper, clear-cut policies or proposed policies that cut across the lines of their national social and economic liberation. You see, most of the time, at the end of the day, what we find most of these candidates or parties doing is that they are appealing to the mindset of the people. They are trying to give the people what they believe the people would want. So they would come out and tell you, we're going to provide good roads, or there's going to be education, or there's going to be
so they don't work with their party. They don't work with their party ideologies. They just work with what people want at that particular time.
Yes, they don't work with party ideologies. They just work with what people want. And aside from this being a very major political issue, I think it also draws back to the mindset of the Nigerian people. I don't know if I should attribute it to suffering or to standpoints over time. But then, even Nigerian persons are not looking forward to what is the economic policies that this government is going to be bringing, or what is the social policies that this government is going to be putting forward. Most of the time, we are looking forward to how is this government going to make my own life better.
Okay.
At the end of the day, that's what we're looking forward to. And most of the time, these political parties already identify this point. So they don't care about whatever ideologies they are put forward at the very beginning, at their very establishment. What they care about now is we must please these people, or I must please these people at the point of my manifestos, because it is these people that will elect. And if these people are able to convince and are going to enter into the office, and it's never based on what the party stands for, actually. Well, that's my belief with respect to the question you just asked.
Thank you.
I think, to go back to your question, initial phase, I think it goes beyond just stating these political ideologies, quote unquote, because you stated what the PDP's ideology was, you stated what the APC's ideology is, sorry. But my thing with that is that when we say that you have these ideologies, right, they have to follow in line in terms of your policy directions, in terms of your philosophies, because that is what is going to guide the strategy and plans of your government, right? So if throughout the campaign, because throughout the last 2 elections, like I've really sat down to really watch campaigns and listen to our leaders speak on what they believe in and why they should be elected. And for someone who paid that much attention, as I'm sure so many other people did, it's really mind-boggling that they really don't say much. You know, they really don't tell you anything beyond what I feel they feel the masses want to hear. There are even the debates that we have are not intelligent debates. Questions that should be asked are not being asked. There are a lot of things that are going on that are just covered that people are not speaking about. But then these political parties will claim they have these ideologies, but we don't see that, because when you get into the government, even the promises you made, which are not
being fulfilled,
are not even being brought to life. When you've gotten the mandate. So you can't say you have an ideology and that is happening. I mean, look at so many what's it called, politicians defecting. A classic example is Senator Rochas moving from PDP to ANPP to back to PDP, then he formed his own party, then to PDP again, then he joined APGA, then he moved back to PDP, then APC. Like, you can't claim for someone who, even as a person, you should have personal ideologies. And I'm certain that with all these various political parties, all these parties can all align with all your ideologies. So it doesn't make sense that people are just, as the people said, cross-carpeting here and there because they believe. For me, I believe it's just purely personal.
Okay, so there's a section in the Constitution that actually supports the 1999 Constitution that actually supports this freedom of movement. So do you think this section should be amended so there won't be this free flow of cross-carpeting?
Okay. I think the section you're referring to is Section 40 of the Constitution that provides for the freedom of association.
Yes.
And it provides that, yes, any person can be a part of a political party or even form his own political party for the protection of his interest. Yes. And I must state that freedom of association is supposed to be a guaranteed fundamental right. It's not something that should be limited. Okay, the only instance in which it should be limited is when it is affecting national interest or it is affecting the rights of other people, the fundamental rights of other people. But then, on the actual scale of things, the freedom of association is supposed to be a guaranteed right. So everybody ordinarily should have the freedom to move between political parties because it is an association or to form their own political parties. But then I think what is important for the Nigerian political landscape is not just emphasizing on Section 40 that provides for the freedom to form or join political parties. What is fundamental is that we actually understand what political parties stand for. We actually understand what the process of governance stands for and what the role of each political party in governance is supposed to be. So beyond just forming political parties or beyond just joining political parties, as we mentioned earlier, the issue of ideologies and philosophy has been a major backdrop that has caused political decampment and defecting and all of that. And so there's a need to actually establish ideologies, there's a need to actually establish philosophies, and there's a need to understand what those ideologies and philosophies stand for. And not just understanding them, there's a need to actually act in line with those philosophies. Because I do not think it would be proper to refrain or to stop people, to restrict people from forming political parties. It is their right. It's something that has been guaranteed. If you stop people from forming political parties, they can actually go to court and enforce their rights against you. So it's not something that can be stopped, yes. But then it's something that should actually be, political parties on their own should understand what policy stands for, should understand what ideology stands for, and they should try to work in line with it. So, like I said before, it's all about issue of mindset. It's all about reorientation. It's all about refocusing your mindset and perspective towards understanding what political parties stand for and what governance should be. I'm sure there are more provisions in the Constitution that provide for movement of persons across party politics, but I think this issue of freedom of association stands out with respect to political parties. So I'll just shift it on to
yeah, so just to compliment Ibuku, thank you for that. That was very well explained. And just to compliment a little bit what he said, if you look further in the Constitution to, I think, Section 68 and 109, I believe, I'm not sure, please correct me if I'm wrong, it allows for political persons to move parties. So it's an instance where a legislator can defect, where there's a division or fraction in the political party to which such person had formerly belonged, or there's a unification of two or more political parties by one of which he was previously sponsored. So, for instance, if you were in APC who sponsored your election, but then APC has been divided or APC joined another political party, right? In that instance, you can defect, right? Because there's a split or a division, right, in that political party. So there are instances where you can do it legally under the law, I guess, but it still lies in looking at the circumstances in which present-day Nigeria defections are being made.
No, okay. So Ladipo, your answers will actually bring me to this question. So according to that section of the Constitution you read, so let me just read it for you. According to Section 68, subsection 1G of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic, states that a member of the Senate or of the House of Reps shall vacate his seat in the House of which he is a member, if being a person whose election, please emphasis on that, whose election to the House was sponsored by a political party, then he becomes a member of another political party before the expiration of the period for which that House was elected. Provided that this membership of the later political party is not as a result of a division in the political party of which he was previously a member, or of a merger of two or more political parties or factions by one of which he was previously sponsored. Now, my question to you is that why do members get to lose their seats? So, are they making these laws for the constituency they were voted for, that voted them in, or are they making this for the party that sponsored them?
Wait, could you repeat that question? Sorry.
Okay, this is my question. I said, why do members get to lose their seats? Are they making laws for the constituency that voted them in, or the party that sponsored them?
They are making laws for the country, for everyone, as it should be. Because members of the National Assembly, they are making federal laws. So, I think to answer your question, right, the laws are strictly to be made for the people of Nigeria. Specific state house assemblies make state laws, yes. But, if you look around, largely most of our laws are unified, even though there are a lot of laws, but, here and there, they are unified. So, the laws are strictly made for the people. But I think what this aspect is a very tricky aspect, because there's also case law on this party defections, and when the defection should be right, and if someone defecting, the person has to lose their seat, blah 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 blah. And it's an area of law that's a bit tricky, So I don't want to say something that ends up being not what the position of the law is right now.
Okay.
You get my point, but I think largely to answer the first part of your question, the laws strictly are made for everybody and not just their constituency or political party, as you said.
Okay, Buku, what's your take on this?
A bit on that.
Thank you.
Okay. Further to what Adipa had already mentioned, that provision actually, specifically, like you've also read out, provides that the member of the Senate or House of Reps, representative, is going to vacate their seat if they move from one party, from the party that sponsored it, to another party. Now, I think the reason for this provision is that every person who wants to contest an election into any of the offices, whether House of Senate or House of Representatives, has to contest under a political party.
Okay.
Yes, it is important that you're contesting under a political party. So as much as when you eventually get elected into office, you will be making laws for the federation, or you'll be making laws for your state, as the case may be. You have to remember that it was your political party that sponsored you. Yes, a person cannot sponsor himself. He has to be sponsored by a political party. Yes, so by very virtue of the constitution was trying to make sacrosanct that affiliation to your political party. That is why he said that in the event that you switch affiliation, in the event that you switch political parties, you will have to vacate your seat, because it was your party that sponsored you to the point where you got elected into office. So I think that answers the first part of your question, why it was necessary that the provision that the constitution.
But they are actually public servants. They are public servants, not political servants.
Yes, they are public servants. The fact that your party sponsored you does not in any way deprive you of the fact that you're a public servant. You are supposed to serve the public, but then you cannot serve the public on your own accord. Yes, you cannot serve the public without the backing of a political party. The Nigerian political party, it's premised on political parties. Yes, that is why we have a multi-party, so that everybody has an ideology in party, and everybody that is contesting for office we have an ideology or a party that is backing and sponsoring them. So if a party sponsors you into office, the moment you get into office, you become a public servant. You become a government official, a public servant to make laws with education and that. But then you got to that office or you got to that position by virtue of the backing of a political party. Yes, it is based on that backing that you are supposed to remain there. Why you should not be focused on the interest of your political party even when you get there. You must always remember that it was your political party that sponsored you into that position, and you're supposed to somewhat keep your affiliation with that political party over the course of your tenure in office. I hope that answers your question in respect to why they have to vacate their seat.
Yes. Let us put it maybe. So are you saying there has to be a signed contract? So are you saying they have to... Can you guys... Okay. Are you saying there have to be like a signed contract between the political party and the person going for the office?
It's not exactly... I don't know if I would describe that as a signed contract, but I know that before you can become a member of a political party, you must have gotten your membership form, and there are a lot of due diligence with respect to becoming a member of a political party. And then if you want to contest elections, you have to your party would have to buy the form on your behalf. I believe I'm right. Your party would have to buy the form on your behalf, so you'll be contesting under the auspices of your party. So as much as Muhammadu Buhari was contesting for the presidential election, you would see that his form must have carried, or his presidential election form, his presidential candidacy form must have carried the logo or the impressions of the APC. Yes. So as much as one person is contesting, is contesting under the armpit, is contesting under based on his sponsorship of a particular political party. Does that answer your question now?
Yes.
Or are you still okay? That's good. I want to be certain and not say yes just because you want me.
No. Okay, that was actually my last question. Thank you, Ibuku and Ladiko. So, any last statement?
So much for having us.
So, any
I would actually like to ask Ibuku a question.
Okay.
Just to keep this going on for a little longer, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So, no worries, nothing difficult. I just want to hear your opinion because Ibuku is someone I've always looked to hear his opinion on various issues. So, my question would be, do you think that Nigeria could handle a two-party system, or do you think that a two-party system could possibly be a solution to some of the problems we have here? Or do you think that we should stick with the way we're going, quote and unquote, in this democratic system? Also, do you think the military rule can work well, or where do you think we lie? Where do you think the solution may be?
Okay, thank you very much for the question, Aripo. The truth is, I actually believe in the multi-party system. I believe that with the proper framework, multi-party system would work. If we're going to look back to the last election, we would see that we had some very impressive candidates. Yes, we have some very impressive candidates that ran under the auspices of some other political parties. I think we had Kingsley Morgan that ran under the Young Progressive Party. I could tell that their ideology was based on empowering the younger generation of Nigeria. Okay. And then we had Veegil that also ran under the auspices of the Allied Congress Party of Nigeria, and so many other candidates. I think these are, apart from Fela Kuti, these are some of the candidates that stood out in that election. Yes. So I believe the multi-party system work very well if given the proper framework and given the proper, I don't know if resources would be the right word to use now, but if given the proper framework, I think the multi-party system is still a good system for Nigeria to use, because considering the large
population,
the ethnic the large population Nigeria has, and they need to actually capture the opinions, the interests of every person within the country. I think the multi-party system should stay in place. It should still stay in place. But then, with respect to my argument for the two-party system would be the case of political opposition. yes, it will be the case of there's something we call the political watchdog. Yes, political watchdog. When a party assumes office, I think it's very.
It actually happens between APC and PDP.
Yeah, that's what's supposed to happen between APC and PDP. But then most of the time, APC and PDP are almost one and the same party at this point. They're just
you can't. That's the argument for me, because if you have over 30-something senators, 5 governors, blah blah blah, these people just defecting from APC to PDP, then it means that both parties are the same. Because you can't say, because if you look at it, there are major players in the APC that are defected to the PDP. There are major players in the PDP defected to the APC. So if you have people in top management in the political parties defecting to their major rivalry, then are they really opposition? That's my question. But yes, thank you very much, Veegil, for your answer.
Thank you very much. I think we have to round this up. So thank you very much for joining me on this show. No problem. So, any last statement, IBK? Please make it short.
Okay. I think I'm just going to thank the organizers of Veegil for giving us this platform, for giving us this opportunity to be here today and to speak on this very interesting topic. Because the political landscape in Nigeria is a very interesting one. And I mean this in every sense of the word, both negative and I hope that this innovation content, this very innovative idea continues.
Thank you, Veegil.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Ladipo, any last statement?
I want to say thank you guys for having us on. Mr. Adebara is someone who I look up to, so I'm very happy I was able to discuss with him on this. And the mention of what Veegil Media is doing as well is quite important. So I hope you guys continue to get people out there. You don't have to be anybody per se, to just speak up on various issues, because the more we speak about these things, the more we can find solutions to them, and the more we can help ourselves as people. So this is very, very great, and I'm happy to have been a part of this. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and I'm so glad that you guys came on the show. So you've heard it all, listeners, and that'll be all on today's episode. Kindly join me bi-weekly on Vigilance. You can participate in the debate by searching political decampment or signing up on our website on veegil.com. I remain your host, Folashade Adebi. Bye.